The solar flare struck without warning. A wall of radiation engulfed Prime City. Electronics fried. Networks crashed. The city, once a beacon of digital dominance, went dark. Panic spread like wildfire. People surged into the streets, desperate to escape the dying city. Those plugged into the digital network suffered the worst. Their implants became instruments of agonizing pain. The lucky ones had prepared. They gathered their loved ones and fled, seeking refuge in the forgotten world beyond the city's neon glow. The journey out of Prime City was a nightmare. The roads were choked with abandoned vehicles, fuel was scarce, the air was thick with smoke and the stench of decay. Families huddled together, sharing what little food and water they had. They had left behind the only life they had ever known, venturing into an uncertain future. Trust was a luxury they could ill afford. Every stranger was a potential threat. The weak and the elderly succumbed to exhaustion and hunger, their bodies left behind to mark the refugees' desperate flight. They pressed on, driven by the faint hope of finding a safe haven. After weeks of hardship, they found it. A valley hidden deep within a forgotten forest. Sheltered from the chaos, they began to rebuild. They called their new home Sanctuary. They cleared the land, they planted crops. They constructed simple shelters from salvaged materials. Life was hard, but they were free. Free from the digital chains that had bound them in Prime City. Free from the constant surveillance and control. But peace, they would soon learn, was a fragile thing. Section 4. The Scourge of the Spoilers. They appeared without warning, riding out of the dust clouds on scavenged motorcycles. The Spoilers. Ruthless and brutal, they lived by preying on the weak. They were drawn to Sanctuary's flickering lights, sensing easy pickings. Their first raid left Sanctuary reeling. The Spoilers descended upon the settlement, stealing their precious supplies and leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Several settlers were injured, their cries echoing in the night. Their leader, a hulking brute known only as the Mauler, relished in their terror. He promised to return, eyeing their makeshift defenses with disdain. Section 5. Holding on. The raid left Sanctuary shaken, but not broken. They had faced hardship before. They had stared death in the eye and emerged defiant. They would not surrender their hard-won freedom without a fight. They organized themselves into a militia, scavenging weapons and learning to fight. They fortified their defenses, using scrap metal and salvaged materials to turn their once peaceful haven into a fortress. They knew the Spoilers would be back. And when they did, Sanctuary would be ready. They would fight. They would survive. They would not let the darkness consume them. The spark of hope, once ignited, is not easily extinguished.